Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I'm Mariah. Today's topic is ABA. This video is response-based from the viewpoints of ABA survivors. In this video, I will be looking at 3 questions about ABA. If you're interested to know more after you watch, I've linked some articles that I use for research and my social media accounts in the video description box. If you like or enjoy my content, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe, like, share, or leave a comment and or suggestion that any suggestion you have below. This video talks about traumatic details of ABA survivors' experience with the ABA from their own accounts, including abuse, manipulation, control. So if you don't feel up to that, bookmark this video for another day. Now let's get into today's topic. Question 1. What is ABA? This response is from a person on Twitter. Person A's response is, ABA is Applied Behavioral Analysis, based on the work of, I'm sorry if I say the name wrong, Ivar Lovis and B.F. Skinner. It sees autism as a series of aberrant behaviors and deficits, which they can overcome by training us to act differently using a combination of coercion, punishment, and reward. Lovis is particularly well known for his complete disrespect for his subjects and even boasts about how he used to strike them until he literally made them fear for their lives. In an interview, he once said, "You see, you start pretty much from scratch when you work with an autistic kid. You have a person in the physical sense. You have hair, a nose, and a mouth. But they are not people in a psychological sense." Question 2. Why is it so damaging to autistics? This response below was from a person on Twitter. Person A answer, ABA is damaging on 2 levels. The first is how it's done. Historically, ABA has involved the use of harsh punishment, including beating and electric shock, which are obviously highly damaging. Now, whilst that's still known to go on, and the judge, Rotberg Center in, I think, Massachusetts, still uses electric shock devices, the official line is that the ABA no longer uses punishment. Now, they are more likely to withdraw rewards, which doesn't sound so bad, except those rewards can include food, rest, time alone, a comfort toy, company, affection, or even being acknowledged as being in the room. ABA has been compared to dog training. However, dog trainers have come forward and stated that ABA is too harsh even for that. A dog would more likely react to fight or flight manner to someone treating it the way ABA treats autistic kids than it would be to obey. Survivors have higher rates of PTSD, complicated PTSD, and stress/trauma related mental health problems, including addiction and suicide. Person A's answer continued. Secondly, the very purpose of ABA is immoral. It claims to be therapy, but is nothing more than brainwashing. This response below is from the article the article called "I Was Part of the Good ABA," written by Louis Stay from the Neuroclassic website. Person B's answer, I became a RBT because I saw a real opportunity to help people. A coworker mentioned that she had been looking into the voices of the autistic community. She said that there was a big push away from ABA. In training, they presented all the research that supports how much better autistic lives are because of ABA. Reduced self-harm, aggression, greater adaptive functioning, and less family stress. Which, with that kind of evidence, who could possibly be against ABA? Our clinic was a part of the new good ABA. It checked off all the boxes of what to look for in ABA clinics. Child-led, natural environment teaching, reinforcement, not punishment focused, communication driven, and not discrete trial training, or DTT. First experience of an ABA survivor in this article. The longer I worked there, the more I started to see the red flags that weren't visible when I initially wore those rose-colored glasses. It started with one of my favorite students, non-speaking child, who was increasingly intelligent and very funny. I could tell that he was bored with his programming. 90% of it was maintenance. He already knew how to perform the desired behaviors. The reason they were still there was that the BCBA and others could not reliably get him to produce the behaviors. We were encouraged to run DTT style trials with him, where he would get frustrated very easily to the point of self-harming. He was doing this with every tech 3 times a day, 40 hours a week. I started seeing other coworkers gossip about him, discussing how he was manipulative because he would seek reinforcement without performing the desired behaviors he knew how to do. I was shadowing a RBT and watched the student request food on his AAC device. Previously, the supervisor had set up an eating schedule for children so they would eat their lunches during the school day, and he was out because of training. The RBT gently told him no, and that he would have to wait for lunch. He went and played. He continued coming back to his AAC asking for food, but the RBT continued to deny him. I watched this slowly escalate over a period of 30 minutes until I saw the student start breaking down, crying. He brought her to his snacks and pointed to them, but the RBT continued to say no. I urged her to let him, but she brushed me off, saying it would be reinforcing maladapted behaviors. He went to other staff and brought them to his snacks, and everyone ignored him because he was exhibiting attention-seeking behavior. He demanded over and over, and it still haunts me hearing the electric voice from his AAC device say granola bar. I had enough and sat him at a table and gave him food. He continued to cry softly as he ate his snacks, so emotionally overwhelmed he could not stop. I told my supervisor about the incident. She wrote up a training protocol that was posted on the door of how lunchtimes are flexible. The second experience of an ABA survivor in this article, another non-speaking autistic child who had a history of self-harm and aggression, so they were trying to target the behavior so they could turn it on and off at will. They first gave the child homework and a bunch of puzzles all mixed together, so there was no solution. In response to this, he did not have a maladaptive behavior, so they were forced to escalate. They started yelling at each other from across the room, knowing this child had extreme hypersensitivity to noise and banging items around the room. They had brought in a speaker to blast music that the child hated. The music was so loud it could be heard in other rooms. He continued to self-regulate and did not have maladaptive behavior. They started forcing him to watch clips of TV shows he hated and did all these aversives. I'm sorry if that's wrong. Combined with trying desperately to produce a behavior. Finally, what broke him after 20 minutes of what I could only describe as torture. They let him get up as if to let him leave and forced him to sit down when he had reached the door. The child started crying and they considered the functional analysis a success. I was horrified as my supervisor ecstatically told me how much better he was making this child's life. In a staff meeting, the BCBA joked that it was like he has PTSD or something when discussing him avoiding the room they were in. This response below is from the article called Parental Learned Helplessness, written by Janica Nade Libcom from the Neuroclastic website. Person C's response or answer. She's a parent of an ABA survivor. When her son was 7 months old, I found out he was blind. I discovered he was autistic when he was 2. When he was 3, I created a home therapy program for him and immersed myself in all the latest research on autism. He went through early intervention until he was 5. That's when he started school in the life skills program because that was the only option available. Sorry about my hand shaking. Sorry about that. When he was 8, he was abused by a bus driver. When he was 10, he was placed into isolation for aggression. Even after having teachers stand up and say he was smart, they did not know how to teach him, and that his communication challenges created frustration and misunderstanding. By the age of 11, he was homebound for safety reasons. At the age of 12, I finally got him into the Oregon School for the Blind, but it closed down 6 months later. He was abused by a care provider at the Arc of Lane County that year. And by this point, he was having violent meltdowns / flashbacks throughout the day. We tried prescription medication, but none of them worked at a dose that I didn't consider to be chemically resistant or restraint. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Restraint. I refused to do that to him. The psychiatrist thought that I was ridiculous. I was labeled a parent in denial. I had small children as well. It was a dangerous situation and I was desperate. I didn't know what to do. I was terrified for him. I was also being told that I was the problem. I was referred to as a pushover who let him get his way. I was told I spoil him. They said that I was teaching him learned helplessness. Ironically, that's exactly what they were teaching me. They broke me down and made me believe that I was doing more harm than good. By defending my son, advocating for his rights as a human being, and telling him that he was loved and misunderstood. By believing in my child and showing him empathy and compassion, I was harming him. Looking back, I know how they did it. How they got me. I was terrified for him, and they capitalized on my fear. They told me that he would end up in an institution without their therapy. They told me that their therapy would change his life and that was the only possible way he would ever succeed was if he received their therapy. I didn't have enough support to do it on my own. I made I made a horrible mistake. I allowed them to come in, and even though I didn't like it, even though it made my guts ache, and it felt so very wrong, I allowed it because I didn't know what else to do. These professionals had me believing that they understood my son and his needs better than I did, that my attempts to help him were actually detrimental to his long-term health and safety. I allowed them to use fear as a weapon against us both. I'm an advocate by nature, so once the decision had been made, I went for the best there was to offer. I fought hard, and actual law had been written to get him into the program. I had to hire an attorney and go up against the school district and county county agencies to get him there. But I got him there. I thought my advocacy was a success. It wasn't. The placement was a residential/educational ABA treatment program. It was all the way on the other side of the country. They said it was the best program for autism in the world and patted themselves on the backs when I did a legwork to get him in. I didn't think I didn't think they expected me to stay there with him, although they should have known better. For 2.5 months, I walked the mile route through the inner city of Baltimore, where the Ronald McDonald House was located, and up a hill to Johns Hopkins Hospital. I did it multiple times a day. I thank God for that walk. It kept me sane. It also opened my eyes to the inequality and economic oppression of people of color, but that's a story for another day. I spent the time I wasn't on a neurobehavioral unit of the KKI wing at Johns Hopkins University, meeting with people who were considered leading experts. Well, it was more like arguing. They called their behavior modification tactics planned ignoring, reinforcing, or extinguishing. What I saw was a one-way ticket to complicated PTSD for some of the most vulnerable children who had likely already spent years being misunderstood and traumatized. Their therapy was not therapy. It was compliance training. It was torture, and my son was a hostage. I knew I needed to get him out, but that wasn't going to be easy. He was using aggression all day long now because behavior is communication. Compliance training is wrong. My son was expressing his feelings about what was happening to him in the only way he knew how. His only other option was giving up and live with a broken spirit. I'm not sure if it would be possible to break that kid's spirit, but I knew that if it was only going to happen over my dead body. I was able to come up with an escape plan. My husband flew back. Me, myself, my parents planned how to get him home. I was able to book a sleeping car on Amtrak. It was a tough trip. The trip was another story. Is another story for another day. But 5 days later, we were home. I immediately started implementing the strategies I was told would create more problems than good. And guess what? He began to heal again. He began to make progress again. The meltdowns began to decrease. Even after 10 years, this is still relevant. This is still happening to families every single day. I'm telling you this because I don't want your child to develop PTSD. It doesn't go away. I say no way to ABA. This response below is from the article called Problems with the ABA, an Easier Guide from Anne's Autistic blog. Person D, answer or response. The list below is things that are true for pure ABA. There are some there could be some ABA teams who do not believe some of these things, but this list is what they're supposed to believe. ABA teams believe that autistic people do not know how to behave. ABA teams believe that autistic people cannot learn by themselves. ABA teams believe that autistic people don't need the same rights as other people. ABA teams believe that autistic people can have their things taken away from them to make them behave better. ABA teams believe that autistic people can be bribed by sweets and biscuits all day for hours and hours to make them behave better. ABA teens believe autistic people must not flap or rock or do any other stims because it stops us learning stuff. Well, maybe we can flap a bit, but only a tiny bit. ABA teams believe that autistic people must make eye contact even if it hurts us. ABA teams believe that autistic people must want the same things as everyone else. Some ABA teams believe that Mr. Lovis was a great man. He used to beat children and give them electric shocks. I don't think he was a great man. I think he was a bully. ABA teams believe they don't need to ask autistic people for their views. ABA teams believe it's not important if autistic people feel sad or angry about having ABA. Some people in universities think ABA may cause trauma in some people. Lots of university people have tried to test ABA to find out if it actually works. They can't find any good evidence to show how it works. It seems most autistic children just grow up and learn stuff like other kids. ABA teams are often very rude about other therapists, like speech therapists or occupational therapists, and that's not okay. I don't like the ABA. Most autistic people don't like ABA. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say I don't like ABA. Most autistic people don't like ABA. It has got stuck in the 1980s. This is not 1980. There are better ways. Autistic people deserve respect, trust, caring, being involved, being partners, not experiments. The third question. Why is the movement to hashtag say no to ABA important to autistics? This response was from a person on Twitter. Person A answer/response. It is important because we care about others like us. Those who have survived obviously want it stopped, but those of us who did not go through it are horrified by it. We know that it could have been us because autism runs in families. Many of us have autistic kids of our own, and if ABA isn't prevented from convincing governments that autism is a virtual plague to which they hold the answers, our kids and grandkids may end up having ABA forced on them. It's a fight for the future of our kind. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share your honest thoughts about this topic in the comment section. As some of you may know, I have problems with pronunciation, which is because of my learning disability, and I don't try to hide this because I want people to know the similar struggles. People who have similar struggles to know that they're not alone. No matter how hard pronouncing some words can be, I always try my best. Those are the reasons I keep my mistakes in these videos. I'm always open to any suggestions you have for any future video topics. Please let me know what they are in the comment section below or on my Twitter page. And my Twitter handle is @BurleyMariah, and I can spell it for you, @BurleyMariah, and that's my last name and my first name. The next video will be on my disability and others' disability in 5 words or less. If other people don't want to participate, it's just going to be on my disability in 5 words or less. The next video will be recorded on March 25th, which is more than 2 weeks from now. I hope that everyone's continuing to stay safe. I'll post my notes in the comment section for anyone who needs them. Again, please like, share, and subscribe if you found this video to be helpful. Feel free to share this video with anyone you think might need it. If you want to be notified for when I do any live streams or upload any new content, you're going to want to click the bell icon, and under the bell icon, you're going to select the all option. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Bye.